Most owners have no idea how many useful features are buried in their Japanese car until someone shows them where to look. And the crazy part is, some of these can make the car easier to live with, safer to use, and even cheaper to own. So in this video, we'll look at the 12 most common ones that I usually show my clients. Let's begin. Number 12. Remote window trick. One of the most useful hidden features on Japanese cars has nothing to do with driving faster or looking fancy. It is the remote window drop function. On a lot of mid-trim and upper-trim Japanese sedans and crossovers, holding the unlock button on the key fob for a few seconds will roll the windows down before you even open the door. Not every car has it, and not every manufacturer enables it the same way, but it is far more common than most owners realize. This matters because cabin heat is not a small issue, especially in places where summer is brutal. Interior temperatures can climb well past 120 degrees Fahrenheit in direct sun, and once that happens, the first thing owners notice is not comfort. It is how hard the AC has to work. A customer came to me last summer with a 2018 Lexus ES complaining that the air conditioning felt weak every afternoon. The system was fine, pressures were normal, vent temps were fine, and the compressor was doing its job. The real problem was that he was opening a superheated cabin every day and expecting instant relief. I showed him how to vent the car remotely before getting in, and it changed the whole experience. Toyota and Lexus have used this feature on enough Camry, Avalon, ES, RX, and GS models over the years that it is worth checking even if the owner never mentioned it. Honda and Acura have also offered it on cars like the Accord and TLX, though sometimes the feature is buried in settings or needs programming. That is the part owners miss. They assume if it is not obvious, it does not exist. And this is not just about comfort. Less trapped heat means less punishment for leather, trim, screens, and switchgear. It also means the climate control does not have to go from zero to full blast every single afternoon. Over time, that matters. Hidden features are only valuable if they do something useful. This one absolutely does. Number 11. Walkaway auto lock. Walkaway auto lock is the kind of feature people underestimate until they forget to lock the car 2 or 3 times in 1 month. Then suddenly, it becomes important. A lot of Japanese cars from the last several years can lock themselves once you step away with the key, but plenty of owners either never activate it or never learn how it actually works. The reason this deserves attention is because it solves a real owner problem, not an imaginary one. People get distracted. They unload groceries, answer a call, deal with kids, grab a gym bag, and assume the car is locked when it is not. A guy came to me with a 2021 Honda Accord because he thought his locking system was inconsistent. Some days the car locked, some days it stayed open. He thought the module was failing. The issue turned out to be much simpler. He was leaving a second key inside a work bag on the back seat, so the car was correctly refusing to lock itself. Once I explained that, the fault disappeared. Honda has been especially good with this feature on cars like the Accord, Civic, and CR-V, and Mazda has used similar passive locking setups on vehicles like the Mazda 3 and CX-5. The point is not that every Japanese car has it. The point is that enough of them do, and owners still leave the feature unused while complaining about convenience problems the car already solved. There is also a basic security angle here. An unlocked daily driver is easy prey for stupid theft. Wallets, garage remotes, paperwork, work tools, even the spare house key people leave in the center console for no reason. One careless moment can cost a lot more than people think. Walkaway auto lock cuts down that risk. It is not a glamorous feature, but it is one of the most practical ones. When a car can quietly correct a common human mistake without any drama, that is good design. Owners just need to know it is there. Number 10. Reverse mirror dip. This is one of the few hidden features that can save you money almost immediately. Reverse mirror dip tilts the side mirror downward when you shift into reverse so you can actually see the curb, parking line, or lower edge of the rear wheel path. It sounds small until you remember how many people damage wheels in parking lots, drive-thrus, apartment garages, and tight city streets. You see this feature more often on better-equipped Japanese cars, especially in brands like Acura, Lexus, and Infiniti, and it shows up on some higher-trim Mazda and Nissan products too. But the interesting part is not where it appears. The interesting part is how many owners have it and still do not understand it. I had a customer with an MDX who thought the passenger mirror motor was starting to fail because it dipped every time he reversed. He was ready to spend money diagnosing a problem that was not a problem at all. After I explained what the feature was doing, he realized the car had been helping him the whole time. That matters because wheel damage is not cheap anymore. Refinishing one decent alloy wheel can easily cost $150 to $250, and if the finish is machined or the wheel is badly gouged, replacement gets expensive fast. On a nicer Lexus or Acura trim, one mistake with a curb can cost more than owners expect. That is exactly why a feature like this has real value. It is not there to look clever. It is there because visibility near the lower edge of the car is poor, especially on larger sedans and crossovers. The other thing owners miss is that the feature often depends on the mirror selector switch being set to one side. Move the switch and the dip may stop working. Then people assume the feature disappeared. It did not. They just never understood the logic behind it. That is why this one deserves to be on the list. It is practical, it is easy to overlook, and it directly helps prevent a repair people end up paying for all the time. Number 9. Wiper service mode. A lot of owners do not realize modern Japanese cars often hide the wipers below the hood line for better aerodynamics, lower wind noise, and cleaner styling. That looks great until it is time to replace the blades. Then people lift the wiper arms the old-fashioned way, hit the edge of the hood, force the mechanism, or chip the paint near the cowl because they never knew the car had a service position built in. This is especially common on cars like the Mazda 3, Mazda 6, Honda Accord, Civic, Toyota Camry, and several Lexus models. The exact procedure changes by brand, but the principle is the same. Shut the car off, then move the stalk in a certain sequence, and the wipers rise into a maintenance position so you can lift them safely. It takes a few seconds, but a lot of owners never learn it because nobody explains it at delivery and they never open the manual unless something already went wrong. I had a guy come to me with a late-model Mazda sedan because he thought the wiper linkage was getting weak. What actually happened was he had been forcing the blades up from the parked position every few months when cleaning the windshield. He had already scratched the edge of the hood and slightly twisted one blade arm. That is exactly the kind of small, avoidable damage people create when they assume every car works like one from 15 years ago. And this is not just about replacing blades. In winter, if you live somewhere with ice, getting the blades into service mode can keep you from yanking frozen wipers directly off the glass and stressing the motor. A wiper motor is not the most expensive part on the car, but it is still a stupid bill to create for yourself over something preventable. On some vehicles, replacing a damaged arm, blade assembly, or related trim pieces can turn a simple maintenance task into a few $100s you never needed to spend. A hidden feature is only good if it solves a real ownership problem. Wiper service mode does exactly that. It protects the car, makes blade replacement easier, and prevents owners from creating damage with their own hands. Number 8. TPMS Relearn. Tire pressure monitoring systems create a lot of confusion because owners assume the warning light works like a simple on-off switch. It does not. On many Japanese cars, especially Toyota, Honda, Mazda, Nissan, and Subaru products, the system needs to relearn or recalibrate after pressure changes, tire rotation, seasonal temperature swings, or a wheel swap. If that step is skipped, owners start chasing a problem that often is not a real failure at all. This is where people waste money. A customer came in with a Toyota crossover convinced he had a bad sensor because the tire light kept coming back even after he put air in all 4 tires. He had already been quoted for sensor replacement elsewhere. We checked pressures, reset the system properly, drove the car, and the warning stayed gone. Total fix time was minutes, not hours. He was about to spend a few $100s on parts he did not need because no one had explained how the system actually behaves. And the costs do add up when people guess wrong. A single TPMS sensor can run anywhere from around $60 to over $150 installed, depending on the car and shop rate. Multiply that by 4 when someone decides to replace everything blindly, and suddenly a simple calibration issue turns into a stupidly expensive misunderstanding. The useful thing to know is that Japanese brands do not all handle TPMS the same way. Some use an indirect system that reads wheel speed data and needs recalibration through a button or menu. Others use direct sensors inside the wheels, which may need registration after replacement or relearn after service. That is why owners get confused. They hear generic advice online, apply it to the wrong system, and then assume the car is acting strange. This feature deserves to be on the list because it is not flashy, but it saves money. It also helps owners stop treating warning lights like mysteries. A lot of electrical problems are really just people not knowing the reset process their car expects after tire service. Once you understand that, the system stops being annoying and starts making sense. Number 7. Hidden cargo setup. Some of the smartest features in Japanese cars are not electronic at all. They are packaging features people overlook for years while complaining their car does not have enough space. A lot of Japanese hatchbacks, wagons, crossovers, and SUVs have hidden cargo layouts, adjustable load floors, split-level trunk boards, underfloor compartments, and folding seat configurations that make the vehicle much more useful than owners realize. Honda is probably the best-known example because of the fit and its magic seat design. People think it is just a small hatchback until they discover how much vertical and flat cargo flexibility that car actually has. Subaru has been good at this too, especially on the Outback and Forester, where the square opening and flat folding layout make the vehicle easier to live with than many larger competitors. Toyota and Mazda have also done a good job with reversible cargo floors, hidden underfloor storage, and seatback angles that change how usable the rear space really is. I remember one customer with a Subaru Outback who came in asking about a roof box because he said the car was too small for family trips. While checking something unrelated, I noticed he had never lowered the cargo floor into its deeper position or used the side compartments properly. Once I showed him how the rear layout actually worked, he realized he had been wasting usable space for months. He did not need more car. He needed to understand the one he already had. That matters because storage efficiency changes ownership more than people think. It affects road trips, airport runs, grocery hauling, strollers, sports gear, tools, and all the other boring real-life jobs cars get used for. Hidden cargo features are valuable because they let a smaller, cheaper, more fuel-efficient vehicle do work people assume requires a bigger SUV. A lot of owners only discover this stuff accidentally, usually after years with the car. That is what makes it perfect for this kind of video. It is practical, underused, and directly tied to daily life. Not every hidden feature needs to be electronic to be worth knowing. Some of the best ones just make the car far more useful than its owners ever realized. Number 6. Driver assist settings. A lot of owners decide they hate modern driver assist systems before they ever take 5 minutes to configure them properly. Then they spend the next 3 years complaining that lane keeping is too aggressive, the forward collision alert is too sensitive, or adaptive cruise feels jerky in traffic. In a lot of Japanese cars, the real issue is not the system itself. It is that the owner is using the factory settings without understanding what can be adjusted. This is especially common on newer Toyota Safety Sense, Honda Sensing, Subaru EyeSight, Nissan ProPilot, and Mazda i ActiveSense cars. The hardware can be very good, but the default setup is often conservative because the manufacturer is trying to protect the broadest possible range of drivers. That means the lane assist may intervene earlier than some people like, the following distance may be too long for heavy traffic, or the steering correction may feel more noticeable than it needs to. A customer with a newer CR-V once came to me convinced the lane system was fighting him. Nothing was broken. The sensitivity was simply set too high for the way he drove, and he had never even looked at the menu. That is why this belongs on the list. These settings affect the car every single day. They are not buried novelty features. They shape how tiring the car feels on a highway trip, how naturally the cruise control behaves in traffic, and whether the owner leaves the systems on or disables them forever out of frustration. And that matters, because once people get annoyed enough, they stop using safety tech that could actually help them. The mistake is assuming driver assist is either good or bad as delivered. On a lot of Japanese cars, it is more adjustable than people think. Following distance, steering assistance, warning timing, audible alerts, and intervention strength can often be changed depending on model and trim. When owners take the time to tailor those settings, the same system they used to complain about suddenly feels far more natural. The feature is hidden in plain sight. It is already there. It just never gets used intelligently. And that is exactly why so many people misjudge the car they are driving. Number 5. Seat memory by key. Most people think seat memory is just a luxury convenience for people who are too lazy to press 2 buttons. That is not what makes it useful. The real value is when the memory system links to each key fob and restores not just the seat position, but sometimes the mirrors, steering wheel, and entry settings as well. On the right car, that means 2 different drivers can use the same vehicle without turning every handoff into a full reset process. This is far more useful in real life than people give it credit for. Couples share cars, parents and kids share cars. Business owners hand cars to spouses, family members, or employees. One person is 6'2", the other is 5'4", and every time the car changes hands, the driving position gets wrecked. Then people start driving half a mile with the seat wrong, the mirrors wrong, and their knees too close to the dash because they are in a hurry. That is not just annoying, it affects visibility, comfort, and control. Lexus, Acura, Infiniti, and upper trim Mazda products tend to do this well, especially in sedans and crossovers where multiple drivers are common. I had a customer with a used Lexus RX who thought the seat was moving on its own because of an electrical issue. What was actually happening was the car was recognizing two different keys and loading two different memory profiles. Nobody had explained that when he bought it. Once he understood it, the problem turned into one of his favorite things about the vehicle. There is also a durability angle here. Power seat switches and manual adjustments get used a lot less aggressively when the car returns to the right position automatically. That may sound minor, but on older luxury Japanese cars, interior electronics are one of the areas owners would rather not create extra wear in if they can help it. This feature makes more sense the more the car is shared. That is why it stays hidden for so long. Single-owner drivers barely think about it. But the moment the car has two regular users, it becomes one of the most practical features in the whole cabin. It is not flashy, it is just smart. Number 4. Hidden cluster menus. A lot of owners never go deeper than the speedometer, fuel gauge, and maybe the outside temperature. That means they spend years driving around with useful information and settings buried right in front of them. Modern Japanese cars often hide a surprising amount inside the instrument cluster menus: maintenance reminders, fuel economy history, tire pressure displays, safety system status, oil life data, all-wheel drive power flow, driver attention alerts, and vehicle customization settings people assume require a dealer visit. The reason this matters is because the cluster is often where the car tells you how it wants to be owned. A Subaru owner who never checks the AWD display may not realize how much the system is working in weather or on loose surfaces. A Toyota owner who ignores the maintenance screen may miss service intervals or never reset them correctly after basic work. A Mazda owner might complain that the car is not getting the fuel economy he expected while never once looking at the trip history or driving feedback data sitting in the menu. The information is there. The owner just never goes looking for it. I had a customer with a newer Mazda crossover who came in asking why his maintenance light kept returning even though he had already changed the oil himself. Nothing was wrong with the car. He had done the service but never reset the maintenance item in the cluster menu, so the reminder kept counting down like nothing happened. He thought the system was malfunctioning. It was not. He simply had not learned the menu structure. This is where Japanese cars tend to be better than people realize. They often give owners more control than they expect, but they do it quietly. The cluster is not just an information screen, it is part control center, part ownership guide, and part warning system if you know where to look. That is why hidden cluster menus deserve a place in the video. They are not exciting in the abstract, but they become very useful the moment you need them. A car can only communicate so much if the driver never opens the conversation. Number 3. Adaptive cruise distance. A lot of owners think adaptive cruise control is either good or bad based on one highway drive, and that is usually a mistake. The reason is simple. Most of them never adjust the following distance. They leave it on whatever setting the previous owner used or whatever the factory default was, then complain the car is braking too early, leaving too much room, or reacting awkwardly in traffic. On a lot of Japanese cars, the system itself is not the issue. The distance setting is. This matters more than people think because adaptive cruise can completely change the way a car feels on long drives. Set the gap too far in busy traffic, and the car keeps opening a space big enough for every impatient driver to dive into. Set it too short in bad weather or at higher speeds, and the system starts feeling abrupt because it has less margin to work with. I had a customer with a Toyota sedan who told me the adaptive cruise was terrible and that he never used it anymore. On the test drive, the problem became obvious in minutes. The distance was set at the shortest possible gap, and in mixed traffic, the car was constantly having to react more sharply than it should. Once we changed the setting, the system felt completely different. This is one of those features that gets unfairly judged because owners use it once, do not like the default behavior, and never revisit it. Honda, Toyota, Subaru, Mazda, Nissan, Lexus, and Acura all handle adaptive cruise a little differently, but the same principle applies across the board. The system works best when the distance matches the road, the weather, and the driver's expectations. And this is not just about comfort. Following distance affects stress, braking smoothness, fatigue on long trips, and how much you trust the system enough to keep using it. If the car feels too jumpy, most people shut it off and go back to regular cruise or no cruise at all. That is a waste, because properly dialed in, adaptive cruise is one of the best daily use features on a modern Japanese car. A lot of owners just never take the 10 seconds needed to make it work the way it should. Number 2. Brake hold. Brake hold is one of those features people ignore for months, then activate once, and suddenly wonder why nobody told them about it sooner. The idea is simple. When you come to a full stop, the car keeps the brakes applied for you until you press the throttle again. That means no holding the pedal at every red light, no constant foot pressure in traffic, and less fatigue in stop-and-go driving. It sounds minor until you spend a week commuting with it turned on. What makes this a real hidden feature is that many owners see the button every day and never touch it. They assume it is related to the parking brake, or they think it is some gimmick they do not need. Then the first time traffic gets ugly, they sit there with their foot planted on the pedal for 40 minutes while the feature they are ignoring could have made the drive noticeably easier. I had a customer with a newer Mazda crossover who came in for a basic service and asked me what the auto hold button even did. She had owned the car for over a year and never tried it once. After I explained it and showed her how it worked, she came back later saying it had become one of her favorite things in the whole vehicle. This feature is especially useful in cities, steep traffic queues, drive-thrus, school pickup lines, and anywhere the car is stopping and starting constantly. It also makes the driving experience feel calmer because you are not balancing brake pressure every few seconds. On some cars, once you get used to it, going back feels strangely primitive. There is one thing owners should understand, though. Brake hold is not the same as a parking brake, and not every system behaves the same after you shut the engine off or unbuckle. That is why people get confused. They use it once, misunderstand what the system is supposed to do, and never touch it again. That is exactly why it belongs here. It is right in front of owners the whole time, and many of them never realize how useful it actually is until someone takes 30 seconds to explain it properly. Number 1. Snow and AWD modes. A lot of Japanese cars have drive modes that owners treat like decoration. They see buttons for snow, mud, trail, X mode, or AWD lock, and assume they are marketing fluff. Something to impress buyers rather than something that changes how the car actually behaves. That is a mistake because on the right road surface, these modes can make a meaningful difference in how the vehicle puts power down, manages traction, and keeps itself under control. The biggest problem is that most people only think about these systems after the car is already struggling. Then they panic, push random buttons, or never use the feature at all because they do not understand what it changes. A Subaru owner once asked me whether X mode was bad for the transmission because he had heard someone online say it should never be used unless the car was stuck. That is nonsense. The whole point of these systems is to adjust throttle response, transmission behavior, braking logic, and torque distribution before the situation gets worse. On something like an Outback or Forester, that is exactly what makes the feature useful in snow, slush, steep dirt, or slick inclines. Toyota, Subaru, Mazda, Nissan, Lexus, and Acura all approach this a little differently. Some systems soften throttle input to reduce wheel spin. Others hold lower ratios longer, send more torque rearward, or change how traction control intervenes. The details vary, but the ownership mistake stays the same. People buy all-weather capable vehicles and never learn the tools built into them. This matters because traction problems are not just about getting unstuck. They are about preserving control before you lose it. That means smoother starts on icy mornings, less wheel spin on wet hills, and better composure on loose surfaces where a normal drive mode might feel too eager. Used correctly, these modes are not magic, but they absolutely change how the car responds. And that is why this one makes the list. A lot of owners spend extra money to get these systems, then never use them intelligently enough to benefit. The feature is there. The capability is there. What is usually missing is understanding.